Anderson, along with many family members. He worked with a group of Case Western Reserve University law students, which was the first version of Tanisha's Law that was presented to this body in November of 2024. From that point to now, what is start off to what you have in front of you is a piece of legislation which will create the Bureau of Community Response, which will be housed in the Division of EMS with Commissioner Wheeler, under the leadership within Public Safety with Director Drummond. And from that point, this legislation creates a position of a Deputy Commissioner of Community Crisis, who will then be tasked, once hired, to build out this division where we will have unarmed crisis professionals that will be utilized. As we know, the fourth option currently when people call 911, it's fire, EMS, police, fire, EMS. We were going through the process to create a fourth option, which we have yet to title what that fourth option will be, but the new Deputy Commissioner will do that. As part of that, you will find that there are a minimum of some training standards for our current first responders, as well as creating a path for mental health professionals, as well as peer specialists, those with lived experiences from, I would say, the multitude of behavioral health and mental health, lived experience to get training to hopefully then be able to provide care if it is deemed necessary. That's basically what you have in front of you all. There were a multitude of professionals that have gotten us to this point, and as we look to hopefully pass this legislation, our community stakeholders will be working in partnership with the team in EMS, specifically in the Bureau of Community Crisis Response, to ensure that the vision that we have laid out is actually carried out and fulfilled.
First of all, thank you, Councilwoman, and great work. I know that this was a labor of love that you're really taking on. And I want to take a moment, if I can. I believe that a couple of members of Ms. Anderson's family are here.
I didn't see
any of them or any other family members are here? Do we have any family?
They'll be here tonight.
Okay, so they'll be here later tonight?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that we acknowledge them. Once again, good job. I do want to hear from Councilman Burnett Drummond, and then any remarks from the Chair of Public Safety.
Through the Chair, to council members, thank you for giving the opportunity to comment relative to Tanisha's Law. We did work, I believe, hand in hand with the council members, specifically Council Member House Jones, and to my right, Assistant Director Shackner, to come up with this legislation. We're working hand in hand to make sure that we put the best possible ordinance together, and I believe we have. And this is a cooperative endeavor with the administration and the council members as well to get this to the finish line.
Thank you. I'm going to ask any remarks from Councilman Michael Polisi, Chair of Public Safety.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, my colleagues, and to the members of the administration, to my colleague Stephanie House Jones. Here is a classic case, Mr. Chairman, where I've always believed that reasonable people can come up with reasonable solutions. We went into this with the administration opposed to it, what was being proposed by, and the mayor opposed to it, by being proposed by the prime sponsors, but through negotiations, through dialogue, through sitting down and coming to understand each person's, each side's concerns and issues, we were able to come up with the piece of legislation that's before us today. So again, and I say that especially for the viewing public, because we live in a world today, as we see in Washington, especially in Washington, where there is no compromise, there is no meeting middle ground, coming to middle ground. It's just an adversarial relationship. But I'm glad to say, and I'm proud to say, that through the efforts of both the sponsors and the administration, and then which came before the Safety Committee, we were able to effectively put forth a piece of legislation, which again, will take time to implement. We all understand that, but I believe we're on the right path and right course in dealing with this issue that we've been confronted with from our first responders. So again, I want to commend everybody who was involved in the process. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I wholeheartedly support it, and I hope all the other members of the safety committee, including myself, who asked to be added, were put onto the piece.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Brian Casey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, Mr. Chairman, as council members, we're not supposed to be human, and we're not supposed to put emotions into things. But it's no surprise or it's no shock to anybody that I'm a father with a daughter who has a developmental disability. And I wear that with the badge of honor. And I didn't want to get involved with Tanisha's Law because I felt that I would be too emotional in the process. And I didn't think that that would be fair to the people who were trying to put this together. But I sympathize immensely with the Anderson family. And when I keep going over that case, I could just imagine, and everybody at this table has met my daughter, right? And I don't think anybody could imagine Brianna going through something like Tanisha did. The hard work and dedication, and Councilwoman House Jones, we don't always see eye to eye, but I have to commend you immensely on this, as well as the administration. My only question on this is that if a police officer encounters, Mr. Chairman, to the director, an individual who is encountering a mental health crisis or somebody who is obviously developmentally disabled and for whatever reason the police are involved, what will be the protocol for the police to back off and to bring this to the scene when it's happening in real time?
Through the chair, Councilman Casey, great question. As you know, once we get this legislation passed, we bring the deputy commissioner on board. It's going to be responsible for the Bureau of Community Crisis Response. Part of what you're talking about will be part of their job to get a protocol in place. Right now, if what you just described occurred, the divisional members, the officers, have options available to them right now. They're all trained, as you're aware, for crisis intervention training, but they have the option to call co-responders and so forth. And if those particular officers are not specialized CIT trained, they can call for individuals if they're working to respond to handle those particular situations that you just described.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Chairman, to Councilwoman Jones, you should wear this one with a badge of honor. When you're done with your time in public service, look back and say, hey, this was one of my greatest accomplishments. Congratulations. And if it's possible, Mr. Chairman, I'd also like to be added as a co-sponsor. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, please add Councilman Casey to this piece of legislation. Thank you. Any other comments from my colleagues? Seeing no other comments, I do want to once again commend you, Councilwoman, for your hard work on putting this together. I know a lot of people had a lot of questions, and you really just stuck to it. I was on the administrative side when that incident took place, and I actually had to interact and engage with that family. And this is a great family. Had a chance to meet the mother before the mother passed away and all the brothers. And it's definitely something that they've been fighting for a long time. So kudos for you for bringing it across the finish line, and kudos to the administration for working closely with our colleague to come up with something that we both feel is reasonable and is going to be impactful for years to come.
We have one
Yes,
addition, which
Director.
Assistant Director Schachner will describe.
To the chair. No, just first. To the chair. Upon final review of the legislation after the amendments were incorporated into this final desk copy, and I'm looking to Vishnu over there. We heard from one of our officers that's in charge of our CIT program. He had one concern and one proposed amendment if one of your membership would be so kind as to propose it, would be in it'd be amendment to section 135.481B, where it's speaking about the training and designation of specialized CIT officers. It'd be line 6 and 7 of that paragraph, where it says the assessment shall include an examination of the officer's written application, supervisory recommendations, disciplinary file, and an in-person interview. We would ask that we strike in person and just have interview. Those interviews are currently conducted over the phone because it is difficult to schedule 15 to 22 officer interviews at a time with the many different schedules that they have to get everybody in one place. So we would just ask that that amendment be proposed and hopefully supported to strike in person from that.
Read that section again.
It's in subsection B. You find it on page 7 of the desk copy. It's section B of 135.481. It's in line, starting in line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, at the end of line 6. This assessment shall include an examination of the officer's written application, supervisory recommendations, disciplinary file, and an interview. We would like to read "and an interview" instead of "an in-person interview." So just to strike "in person" from line 6.
Which means it could be inclusive of both in-person and phone, correct?
Correct, correct.
Okay, all right.
Councilwoman, would you
Yes.
mind? I'm sorry, she's
I cannot on the committee.
So we need somebody on council to proffer that amendment.
Mr. Chairman, I'll support that. I'll move that we amend that.
All right, do we have a second? Second by Councilman Richard Starr. Mr. Gagliani, do you have all of the information that they're looking for? All right, or is there any discussion on the amendment proffered? Seeing no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. The amendment carries. And I believe that is it. Tanisha's Law will be heard on the floor tonight and passed by the full body tonight. Congratulations, everyone. Thank you. All right, we're going to bring up Muni. We got safety. Let's just do safety while you're here. Safety, since you're at the table, let's keep it going. This is, and I believe Ms. Hartsong is going to be coming up. Is she? Yes, she is. All right, this is ordinance number 26-2026 by council members Polinsik and Griffin by departmental request. An emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Safety or law to apply for and accept grants from Cuyahoga County Public Safety and Justice Services for the FY 2025 Stop Violence Against Women Act program for a sexual assault advocate and for the law enforcement and prosecution components of the Cleveland Domestic Violence Program and authorizing one or more contracts with the Cleveland Rape Crisis Center and other entities to implement the grants. Mr. Director.
Good Chair, that's correct. The purpose of the grant, the goal of the Violence Against Women Act, the VAWA grant program, is to provide funding to enhance investigation, prosecution, and victim advocacy of domestic violence, stalking, and sexual assault cases. The City of Cleveland will be reimbursed for costs associated with operating the Cleveland Domestic Violence Program. This is a partnership with the Cleveland Police Detectives, Cleveland prosecutors, the victim advocates from County Witness Victim Services. Cleveland will also be reimbursed for the cost associated with the victim advocate from the Cleveland Rape Crisis Center being assigned to Cleveland Police Sex Crimes Unit. And this includes 3 programs. One is the DV program for law enforcement. And the cost of that to be reimbursed, personnel is about $153,255.90 for detectives, $4,500 for annual conference. Supplies is $3,727.67 for a total of $161,453.57. The grant award is $121,090.18. The matching fund with this is $40,363.39 for the total that I mentioned before. The other part of the program as well is for the sexual assault program, and the contractual or the cost of being reimbursed is $62,940.80 for the Cleveland Rape Crisis Center, $398.49. For supplies, $1,068 for phone, for a total of $64,407.29. The grant awards for $48,305.47. The matching amount is $16,101.82 for the total I mentioned before. And the last is the DV program for prosecution, and that's $200,966.50 for the prosecutors and law clerk. Travels for conferences, $17,913. Supplies, $181.37. And others, it's a printing of information pamphlets, that's $6,000 for a total of $225,860.87. The grant award is for $169,395.65. Matching award is $56,465.22. And again, that's for the total that I mentioned before. And the grant information, the grant period is from January 1st of this year through December 31st of this year. This is the 8th year we've received this grant, and we've received a domestic violence grant since 1997.
Thank you. I know we know most of your people at the table, but did anybody want to introduce your team at the table?
Sure. Can we start with Prosecutor Jordan, far end?
Good afternoon, Council President, Chair to the rest of the Council, Quayla Jordan, City of Cleveland Prosecutor's Office.
The Chair of the City Council, good afternoon. Kyle Freeman, Lieutenant, Domestic Violence Unit.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. The Chair, this is Dawn Hartsong, Cleveland Public Safety Grants Coordinator.
Jason Shackner, Assistant Director of Public Safety.
Thank you. Councilman Mike Polensek, any comments?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. As I indicated to the administration at the hearing, these are areas that were of great concern to council members in the day. City Council, we set up and moved to create the domestic violence unit issue with regard to this, domestic violence, sexual assaults. We felt very passionate about this in the day within the body, and we moved, working with the administration at the time, to set up these sections within the Department of Public Safety. We had asked, though, at the table for additional information. Has that information been provided to us?
Through the Chair, yes, we have that information. Assistant Director Shackner will provide the questions. I believe that part of what you wanted was how many people were prosecuted for domestic violence or sexual assault charges, down by wards. We weren't able to break it down by wards, but we have that information for you.
When will we be receiving that?
So we have some of the information for you right now.
Okay.
Prosecutor Jordan could provide that information.
Yes, through the Chair to the rest of Council. So our office is not able to break it down by ward. We have to manually count these numbers. We're working on getting a more efficient case management system, but we do have some overall numbers of the cases we received.
Okay.
So last fiscal year for domestic violence dating cases, 2,220 cases were received. 12 of those were stalking cases. Of those 2,220 cases, 1,076 cases were accepted. 12 of those were stalking cases. 1,041 cases were declined, and 521 cases were referred for felony prosecution.
Okay. So, Mr. Chairman, to the administration, we've asked in the future, whatever data they have, if they can be broken down by ward. So again, I would hope you would be able to implement that, and with any other additional data you can provide to members of the body, so we can have a better understanding as it pertains to what's actually taking place within our wards and what sections of the city have the most severe problem. That would be helpful to us. So again, outside of that want of information, Mr. Chairman, I wholeheartedly support this legislation. The members of the committee did. It was overwhelming. So again, I urge its passage. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for the director and his team? Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 26-2026 stands approved. Please sign on. Thank you.
Thank you.
We passed it already.
We'll bring up Muni Court next. This is ordinance number 25-26 as amended by Councilmember Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Finance on behalf of the Cleveland Municipal Clerk of Courts to apply for and accept a grant from State Justice Institute to conduct the continuity of operations plan and authorizing the director to enter into one or more contracts with the National Center for State Courts to establish and execute the plan. Director and guests.
All right, thank you, Council President. So through the chair to the committee, this is legislation sponsored by Finance on behalf of the Muni Clerk of Court. It is to accept $75,000 grant with $7,500 matching funds. The grant is from the State Justice Institute, and also to enter into a contract with the National Center for State Courts for continuity of operations, and also to help develop a strategic plan for the Clerk of Courts. And we have a representative from the Clerk of Courts here today, should there be any questions.
Thank you.
I'm Kim Bates. I'm Chief of Staff for the Clerk of Courts Office.
Please speak into the mic if you could.
I'm Kim Bates. Thank you. I'm Kim Bates, and I'm the Chief of Staff for the Clerk of Courts Office. So the Clerk of Courts Office has been working on a continuity of operations plan. Early last year in February, we had a cyber incident which increased the need for us to put something in place. We have developed about 40% of our plan, but realized that at this point we needed additional information and consultation to help us bring it to a fully developed project. So we talked to the National Center of State Courts, which is actually an organization that deals specifically in courts and what their specialized needs are. They already have people who have developed a plan. They will come in and help us with our plan from where we are now to get us to the fruition of it.
Okay, thank you. Anyone have any questions for Ms. Bates or for the Finance Director? All right, seeing no questions, ordinance number 25-2026 stands approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Move to Public Works and Capital Projects. This one is ordinance number 33-2026 as amended by council members Bishop and Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the purchase by one or more requirement contracts of residential carts, street receptacles, and compactors for the Division of Waste Collection and Disposal, Department of Public Works, for a period of up to 3 years. And there are amendments. The amendments state, there is no legal objection to this legislation if amended as follows. In section 2, at the end, insert the Director of Public Works shall provide written notice to the Clerk of Council whenever any purchase is made through the cooperative process, which notice shall include the details of such cooperative purchase. Number 2, in section 3, lines 1 and 2, strike, in quotation, shall be charged against the proper appropriation accounts, and insert, in quotations, in the estimated amount of $2,300,000 per year shall be charged against the general fund from the fund or funds to which are credited the proceeds from the sale of 2026 through 2028 bonds if issued for this purpose, and Fund Number 11 SF 006. This is signed February 2nd, 2026 by Vishnu Gaglani, Assistant Director of Law. Director and team.
Thank you, Chair. This piece will allow the Division of Waste to replace approximately 10,000 to 12,000 broken carts or missing carts that we have each year. The Division of Waste Collection is also replacing aged and damaged street receptacles throughout the city, and will be adding trash compactors to city facilities. Per the ordinance, this was increased to about $2.3 million per year. This $2.3 million really will allow us to buy not only carts, but it will also allow us to buy the receptacles as well as some compactors. We will have to use a mix of both capital and general fund money to do it. We've spent about maybe $1.8 million just on carts alone, but this legislation allows us to do a little more than just carts. With that, I will give it to the Commissioner if you want to add anything, and then we'll open for questions. You good?
Commissioner?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this ordinance gives us the ability to expend. It's not a request for any new funds. It just gives us authority so we can spend past the $50,000.
Thank you. And you want to announce your other team members here?
Yes, Mr. Chair. We brought folks from the Division of Waste. I'll let them introduce themselves and describe what they do for the city of Cleveland.
My name is Crystal Lazaway Patterson, and I am the Administrative Manager for the Division of Waste Collection.
Tangela Scott, Administrative Manager for Waste Collections.
Thank you. All right. What questions, Councilman Bishop? Did you have any comments before we go to our colleagues for questions?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we vetted this morning, fully recommended for passage.
Thank you. Councilman Polensek?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, my honorable colleagues, to the director and to the commissioner. My question is this on waste collection / recycling. What are we doing to get a better handle on the carts that we have in our that we are purchasing? I constantly get these calls with the carts being broken, and then the carts being eaten, including my own cart that was eaten.
Okay.
Okay. What are we doing to make sure? Because what does each one of the carts cost?
Through the chair, a cart costs about $65 to replace.
Okay.
The first generation of carts that were received about 12, 15 years ago, they were manufactured by, those are auto carts, and they're a different resin. A cart generally lasts 7 to 10 years is useful life.
Okay.
The warranty for the carts that we initially bought were 10 years, and we had them plus now almost 15, 16 years. They outlast their useful life. The carts that we're currently purchasing are auto carts. They have a longer life cycle. They're about a 12-year warranty to receive for those carts. One thing that we did to try to address for carts that are falling in, we have different one-arm mechanisms on our trucks, and we had different sizes. So, for example, you had a 96-gallon cart, a 64-gallon cart, and a 48. In order to get your calipers on those trucks to work correctly for all three, either you were squishing the 96 gallons and cracking them, or you were losing the 48-gallon. So what we did is we eliminated the 48-gallon size cart. We only have 64, and that way you can right size your calipers on your one arms to try to prevent cars being lost.
Okay, so, Mr. Chairman, based on that, so have the number of carts that are being eaten, has that decreased?
Through the chair, it significantly.
Okay. So the carts that we are purchasing now, where are they? Where do we get them from?
Through the chair, we get them through we have a cooperative agreement, and we purchase them through our rep. Best Equipment is our rep. Most all carts are manufactured in the Carolinas, in and around North Carolina. They purchase those carts from North Carolina and deliver here to the city of Cleveland.
Okay. And the other question I have pertains to the recycling aspect. I notice on my own street, as I did this morning, the majority of residents on my street do not have the white label on their cart. What are we doing to promote the recycling program again?
So, through the chair to the councilman, we actually are working with the Cuyahoga County Solid Waste District to help with an education and communications plan so we can actually restart I won't say restart, but actually grow it to do more for that. So as we sit today, I think one of the things, no excuses, but I think one of the things that we are grappling with is being able to have a good system that actually helps us track our CRM, that actually helps us track our people, who's there, who's been added. We don't really have that right now, so we're trying to add that, but we're working with the Cuyahoga County Solid Waste District to help us with that process, as well as more education, better education, because we do believe that this is going to be an education kind of a process, because I think for most people, some people are going to recycle, other folks won't, and there's probably a band of people that just don't understand it. So we really want to try to do more education this year to grow, so we don't get too many. We get a lot of people, but they don't know how to recycle, and so our contamination rate goes up. We want to try to educate and grow at the same time. That's one of our focuses for this year.
And I think that's important because I think my one neighbor, with all the parties he has with beer bottles and beer cans, he could pay for the system in itself, okay, which are going in the garbage. That being said, Mr. Chairman, I always want to say this for the record. I believe we have a good commissioner of waste collection. He's always been responsible to me, to my citizens. I always have to remind everyone, the best commissioners are the ones that come out of city council. Remember that, okay? And so I want to thank him, and I want to thank the director who's been responsible as well. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, and I ditto that. Anytime that we call the commissioner, anytime we reach out, him and Mr. Richard always, step up and do a great job. So appreciate, and to all of your workers, I know I mentioned before it started, I admired all of them out there in that 0-degree weather out there. I just, on behalf of Cleveland City Council, to all the workers, I was actually going to call you and see when it might be an assembly or something that you guys are doing, because I really want to thank those guys. They really went out there and worked hard.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. We always like to say that the employees, we just represent them. They are the backbone of the city of Cleveland. And if you want to, we'll through the director, every first Wednesday of the month, we always have something. We always give them hot dogs and handshakes. So any member of council is more than welcome. Just get in contact with me, and we're more than welcome you when we pass out hot dogs.
Absolutely. My team will be in touch with you so that I can come and pay my respects, okay?
Tell them to notify all of us.
Yeah, if they could just notify all of us, and we'll just have the clerk give it out to everybody, okay?
Will do.
All right, thank you. Any other questions for ordinance number 29-20? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Councilman Conwell.
Walking the neighborhood yesterday to Commissioner Pruitt. Write this down for me, because you guys do a great, great, great job, and I don't get beat up in my committees, the work you do. The 1035 Lynn Drive.
Said 1035 Lynn Drive, through the chair.
Yes, they need a recyclable trash can, recyclable can.
Okay.
That's all I got to say.
Through the chair, too easy.
All right, it's too easy. Thank you.
All right, any other questions for the commissioner and the team? Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 33-2026 as amended stands approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We got one for MOCAP. All right, this is ordinance number 1541-2025 as amended by council members Bishop and Griffin by departmental request. An emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Capital Projects to enter into an amendment to lease agreement number CT 0103 NF 2015-052 with Flats East Management LLC, the designee for Flats East Development LLC, to authorize charging boat docking reservation fees. Director.
Mr. Chairman,
Let me read the amendment. I apologize.
Yes, sir.
There is no legal objection to this legislation if amended as follows. 1, in the title, at the end, between fees, in quotations, and the period, in second whereas clause, line 2, after premises, and in section 1, line 4, after the amendment, insert for a period of 5 years in all 3 places. This was dated 2/2/2026 by Vishnu Gaglani, Assistant Director of Law. So please proceed.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, as you mentioned, this is related to docking fees at the Flats East project. And this relates to a lease that was authorized in 2014 and signed in 2015 with Flats East Bank. And before I hand it over to Commissioner DeGennaro, we'll introduce ourselves because we have some guests at the table that are here to answer any questions. So I'm Director DeRosa with the Office of Capital Projects.
Suzanne DeGennaro, Commissioner of Real Estate with the Mayor's Office of Capital Projects.
Good afternoon. Jim Haviland, Executive Director of Flats Ford.
Good afternoon. Captain Drew Ferguson, CEO of Argonaut, founder and champion of the Davis Aerospace and Maritime High School.
Didn't we just meet over there with the Commodore and those guys at Lake or the yacht club?
Yeah, Intercity Yacht Club.
Intercity Yacht
Correct.
Club. Okay, good. Okay, please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the lease with Flats East Management LLC was entered into between the city and Flats in 2015. And it covers the roadways, the sidewalks, the boardwalk, and the park space in the development area. And under the lease, Flats was required to keep those areas free and open to the public. So fast forward to 2025, Flats is seeking a waiver from the U.S. Coast Guard to dock boats, recreational boats, on the dock that's adjacent to the development. It's approximately 900 feet from NS1, the NS1 drawbridge, upriver to the lake house. And this area of the dock has been designated by the Coast Guard as a safety zone, which is an area where recreational craft are not permitted to dock when a commercial vessel is traversing the river due to safety concerns. In connection with this waiver, Flats developed a docking program, and it is operated by Argonaut with trained students and alumni from Davis Aerospace and Maritime High School. There's a web-based program that allows boaters to reserve dock space and also allows the crew to notify them in the event that a freighter is coming through 1 hour in advance. They're required to come back to their vessel and relocate it out of the safety zone. If they're unable to do that, the students and the dock managers will do that for them. And so Flats is requesting an amendment to the lease to allow them to charge docking fees to cover the expenses of the docking program.
Thank you. All right, Councilman Bishop.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we vetted this piece this morning and fully recommend it for passage.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Brian Casey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, to the director, and I just forgot to ask this morning, have you gotten the waiver yet from the Coast Guard?
Mr. Chair, through the chair to the councilman, we have not. They're waiting for this legislation to be approved.
All right, so if you get the legislation, and then what happens if the Coast Guard still comes back and says no? Then this is just all null and void? We're good? Correct?
I can give you a little more on that one, too.
Yeah, but generally, if the Coast Guard doesn't approve it, we can't move forward.
Okay, all right,
so
thank you.
they would work to ensure that any challenges the Coast Guard saw were resolved and try again for an application.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councilman Michael Polensek.
Mr. Chairman, my question is more broader than this. And I know the administration can answer this question, but I'm going to pose it to the other two representatives that are here at the table. Just briefly, give me your observation of how you feel the Flats are doing, east side of the Flats.
Through the chair to Councilman Polensek, the question was, how do I feel it's going?
Yeah.
Yeah. As a nonprofit representing the stakeholders from Cleveland Cliffs, Cleveland Works Steel Mill, all the way to the Port of Cleveland, we definitely include all of the entertainment,
right,
and also the tourism, maritime, and industry, as well as residents. So the Flats East Bank, as we all know, because so much work was put into it by the city and others, is a premier destination. It needs to be a premier destination, top class. So right now, we feel as though we have a tremendous, unprecedented collaboration between the operators of the restaurants and the establishments, the city, the owners, and the nonprofits and other partners. And we are talking about making sure that we program, we provide security, and that we market that the Flats East Bank is a safe and dynamic location. And to your point, Mr. Chair, through to Councilman Polensek, this is seen as a safety issue, an economic development issue, and a tourism issue, bringing people who are coming by boat to this location, not just the Flats, but to the city of Cleveland as well.
Well, you were very diplomatic. You did some real dodging here, okay? So, but I'm going to state for the record that I've been in dialogue with a half dozen merchants and operators down there who believe the Flats are going backwards. believe the flats are going backwards, that they're having a problem attracting people on Friday nights, Saturday nights, which are their prime nights to make money. They don't make money during the week. They make money on the weekends. So I'm just, I don't need any great discussion, but what I'm expecting as we go forward through the chair into the administration, until the folks that are involved in the flats, some transparency and some real honesty as it pertains to because what I hear from the operators is completely different than what I'm hearing from the spin that is repeatedly put on. That there's not enough security, there's not enough assistance from the city on the East Bank, and if we do not step up to the plate, and when I say we, I don't mean we mean the administration does not step up to the plate, we could go back to where the flats once were. So I just want to pose that. You obviously are putting a different spin on this, but I'm telling you for the record how operators and property owners feel on the East Bank. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 1541-2025 as amended stands approved. Please sign on.
Thank you.
All right, we will go to ordinance number 29-2026 by Councilmember Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Human Resources to employ one or more professional consultants to develop and implement a comprehensive management training program. Director.
There we go. Thank you, Council President. If you remember last year, the city performed a very comprehensive organizational training needs assessment. As part of the effects of that, the city developed a comprehensive performance management process and tool, which we rolled out in October of 2025. It was a soft launch. Also, as part of that, the structure for a management training program was also developed. And this piece of legislation is to request us to issue RFP and then enter into contract with one or more firms to actually develop the content associated with that citywide management training program. As I mentioned, we already have the structure of it, but we need a firm or firms to finalize the content and then assist with the actual training. There's over 700 supervisory staff across the city of Cleveland, and as much research as I've done, have not found where the city has done this previously. So this is an attempt again to bring all of the departments and divisions across the city together as it relates to training. Happy to answer any questions that anybody has.
So looked at the executive summary, and the executive summary was a little bit vague. Didn't we just pass something like this about 2 years ago?
To the chairman, that might have been for the firm called Consult HR, who actually did the assessment and then developed the actual structure of both the performance management and management training programs. So we have this, they were brought on to create the structure. Now this is to actually take that structure, put content into the structure, and then
Is the same company going to do the actual, if I'm hearing you correctly, they were hired to do the activation. I mean, they were hired to do the structure, but now you're saying, is this same company going to do the activation, or are you going out for bid for that?
to the chairman, out for bid. We're going to issue an RFP.
So the group that actually did the structure would have to bid and actually win to actually operate the structure that they created?
To the chairman, that's correct, because the structure of the program based upon the identified core competencies and the way that we actually want to have the training look is one thing, but the content that goes into that structure is a much more difficult and arduous process because it's basically taking each of the cohorts within the levels of training and then developing content for all of it that is city specific.
So we paid $900 for that service too. Or how much did we pay for that first one?
To the chairs, I remember we paid, I think, $60,000, and that was for the development of both the performance management and management training structures.
So we never paid $900,000 for any of these tools or anything else?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, any other questions regarding this? Councilman Chris Harsh?
Mr. Chair, I had the same question you did when this came up. We went through this, and I was kind of dumbfounded the first time because it sounds like we're outsourcing HR to HR. Like, it sounds so redundant. I mean, the job of HR is to help manage our personnel, and we're spending $900,000 for on-the-job training for people that have already been hired to be managers. I don't understand this. It doesn't make sense to me. This seems like a total redundancy of what the department is supposed to exist for in the first place. So, through the chair, could you please explain, Director Cole, what exactly it is that these folks can accomplish that you can't?
Through the chair to the councilman, sure. So, as you're well aware, the city's a massive organization with nearly 8,000 employees and over 700 supervisors. Within each department and division, they have their own culture and subculture. On top of that, historically, the city, from what I've learned through my tenure here, a lot of promotions were done by tenure, not necessarily skill. In addition to that, you have many individuals who are already in these positions that are sorely lacking a lot of the skills necessary to perform their jobs effectively. And in part, it's because the city's never undertaken anything like this before. Our department does do quite a bit of training for departments on various topics. The problem with this type of a situation is we simply would not have the bandwidth to do this kind of a training. You're talking about a massive number of people over hopefully a reasonable period of time with 3 simultaneous cohorts or levels of training going on at the same time. So this would take a whole training team, one that not only would have to develop all the content to make it most effective and useful for today's standards, but then actually be able to deliver all of that training.
Well, Mr. Chair, it either sounds then like this is $900,000 to train every single manager in the city of Cleveland also seems woefully inadequate. I mean, if we're trying to train every single manager because you're saying that we have a large number of incompetent people, this is not good. This is like a really bad look for us. It's a really bad admission to make, and I don't know that we're going to solve it with $900,000 on a consultant. To me, this really seems like largesse. What's the word I'm looking for? Fat. It seems like just wasted money.
You're being polite.
We did this 2 years ago, and we're back doing it again.
Through the chair to the councilman, I'm not sure what you're referring to from two years ago, and I certainly want to correct the record. I never said there was a bunch of incompetent people. What I said was that there are definitely skill gaps, and historically there's been a lot of people that were not set up to succeed in the roles that they're currently in.
Being put in a role where you're not set up to succeed means that you're the wrong person in the wrong place.
I'll leave it at that.
So, I mean, these are any other questions?
You can, Mr. President, just put me down for a no.
Okay.
You guys can do this. I don't know.
Councilman Conwell, you had some comments too?
I'm sitting on the right team. I love training, and training can save you money, and training is ongoing. So narrate this one more time. You want to do through the chair what with the training? You trying to set up a department or systems or what you doing?
Through the chair to the councilman, this is to set up citywide training for all managers. And specifically, there's 3 levels. I can certainly give more detail to it, but essentially it's 3 curriculums or 3 cohorts that would cover all supervisory staff through the city. People leaders, executive leaders, and then core leaders. And each has its own purpose, but in some ways overlaps. And the intent is to assist to develop them in specifically core competencies that came out of actually the analysis that we did, pretty comprehensive analysis last year, including communication, decision-making and problem-solving, customer focus, teamwork, collaboration, personal accountability, and then adaptability. And we do have three very distinct outline training programs that I could actually provide if it would be beneficial to review, but I wasn't sure how in-depth you wanted me to get, but it's all very mapped out. It's really to benefit the supervisors in the city. And again, nothing like this, at least based on the research that I did, has ever been done in the city. So.
And so when the trainers get this knowledge, for point of clarity, who is, to the chair, who is going to train the trainers again?
Through the chair to the councilman, so all of the content that's going to go into each of these cohorts is going to be provided by one of the vendors, and then they would actually do the initial training, and then from there, we as the city of Cleveland would pick up and train on an ongoing basis.
Now the trainers, do you know them? How do you pick them? You have to go out for a bid to pick the trainers, or what?
Through the chair to the councilman, the trainers would be part of the actual RFP. So it would be the same firm who is selected to create the content.
Mm-hmm. And so with these trainers, they'll train the supervisors, and the supervisors will train the workers. Is that correct?
No, through the chair to the councilman, no, this is to train all the supervisors. So this is to give them additional skills to be supervisors or managers. And the effects of that, included but not limited to, them being able to more effectively manage, evaluate the performance of their employees, create succession planning, through all levels through the city, in terms of future placements. If a manager doesn't have the skill base to be a manager, we're putting them at a disadvantage. So this is to assist from a lead all the way up through and including those who may manage many people at the same time.
Yeah, through the chair, training is ongoing, as we know that, right? So if you spend money on bringing a trainer in, that trainer really should be training his or her workers the way. That supervisor should, because the supervisor will get the knowledge from the trainer, take the knowledge, and coach and counsel workers. Is that correct? That's the way it should go. I mean, if we're going to spend all this money, how do it benefit the supervisors? But that supervisor must always train the workers. It got to be ongoing. Through the chair.
Through the chair of the councilman, I wholeheartedly agree. This is more of the management skill base, not the performance of duty training. But I agree with what you're saying. But this is to train the managers in being managers and being more effective managers.
Through the chair, and I'm not. Don't take it personal. If you're going to be a manager, that manager should be able to take this knowledge and cultivate workers. Our job is to cultivate workers, which will help with training, it helps with recruiting, it helps to fight attrition, because a lot of times if you have a trained workforce, you'll have less attrition. So it just can't benefit the supervisors, it must benefit the other workers. So, I mean, Director, I'm not there on this right now if it doesn't benefit the whole, because that's my understanding of training. If it's just, you just train me, and I don't take it to train the workers, then it's not efficient. Because training got to be around the whole thing. That's how you create, I'm not pointing at you, culture, through the chair to the Human Resource Director.
Through the chair to the councilman, I do agree with what you're saying. I just want to make note that the intent of this particular training is to develop the managers themselves. It's not to say that they wouldn't use what they learn to then pass on to their subordinates, because I think a manager's job is to always cultivate their staff, because they have to replace them someday.
Right.
So,
right.
as I mentioned earlier, the whole goal, kind of on a bigger scale basis, is to develop a culture of succession planning
Right.
and have individuals ready to step in and move up as individuals, leave or retire.
And also make our departments efficient as well when you have a trained workforce. So it's not personal. I need to see what you have. I want to take a look at it.
Sure.
You can
I'd be happy to.
Can you bring it later today? At this moment, I'm not there. Directors, nothing, but I do want to take a look at it to see it. I understand training. I like reading it. And you have what you can you bring it later today around 7 p.m.?
Through the chair to the councilman, I could
right there?
actually
Is that it?
I could actually forward this whole packet
That's it?
to you all if that's what is preferred. Sure.
And I'm there for training. I think you should have a training department across the line to constantly train workers and cross-train workers and the whole 9 yards. But I need to take a look at that right there.
Sure.
All right? And don't, just want to see it. Training is good. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. I have Santana, Star, Harsh.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through the chair to the director, just looking at this, the summary here, it says that the first phase will end March 2027, so next year, once you hire an organization, correct?
Through the chair to the councilwoman, I think it's no later than, and that was just being leaving plenty of room as necessary, because this wouldn't actually be in until the budget beginning in April of this year.
Got it. Second question, you have an estimated budget of $900,000. Where did that amount come from?
Through the chair of the councilwoman, great question. So I asked the same thing as we were going through the initial process. That is what the firm who evaluated this type of a program rolling out to an entity of our size could cost. So we don't know that it would cost $900,000, but some of the estimate we got was a little above and some was a little below. This was kind of in the middle, so we thought that it would be a good amount, hoping, of course, that it would come in less than that.
Got it. And then through the chair, it was just my understanding that when you do a RFP, you don't put the amount out there, because if a RFP comes in, I'm sure they're going to go as close to the 900,000. Is it different in this case?
Through the chair to the councilwoman, we wouldn't put the amount on the RFP.
But isn't it estimated budget 900,000?
Well, that's the amount that we're estimating that we had to put in for request into our 2026 budget. So in request and expectation, so we just wanted to let you know what we thought it could cost if in fact we did enact it in 2026. But we would not post that as part of our RFP.
But I'm saying if an organization sees this right now on TV 20, I'm a consultant. I say, hey, they could pay up to $900,000. I am going to quote it as close to that 900,000. I mean, that's possible, correct?
Through the chair of the councilman, I guess that could be possible, yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilman Starr.
Thank you, Council President. Just brief, because I see some of my colleagues touch on some of the thoughts that I have. So this is an emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Human Resources to employ one or more professional consultant to develop and implement a comprehensive management training program. And this is for specifically a certain management. Which management team is this for, or department, through the chair?
Through the chair to the council, but it's for all managers in all departments.
And this is something that we just did. We haven't done this before.
Through the chair to the council, but not to my knowledge. I was not able to find any citywide management training.
So, through the council president, orders numbered 110, 2024, authorizes the Director of Human Resources to employ one or more consultant to provide assessment and design of a citywide management training strategy and implementation programs and citywide employee performance management and implementation program. What we passed as city council passed. So what is the difference between ordinance number 110, 2024, and ordinance number 29, 2026?
And Councilman, could you give us the amount on that ordinance?
The amount on that ordinance, give me 2 seconds.
1, 2.
100? Yeah. I don't have the actual dollar amount. I'm pulling it up.
While he's looking at that, that's what I remembered. And
Right.
I'm glad that they found the actual ordinance, but that's what I was asking you earlier. And while he's looking up that amount, could you start to answer his line of questions? Because could you explain what the difference is?
Sure. Through the chair to the councilman, as I'd mentioned earlier, the initial RFP that we did was for the assessment and design of these programs, which was completed. The assessment and design was completed for both performance management and training management. Again, this is to fill in all of the content and then the delivery of that training. So we do have an assessment that was done citywide. We did a comprehensive organizational training needs analysis, which incorporated departments throughout the city. Our current needs were then put into core competencies we saw as areas in which were deficient across the city of Cleveland, which our managers needed training on. Those were outlined, which is part of the document I'm happy to send you all, which is actually the draft RFP of what we would send. And this is to then hire a firm or firms that would deliver on all the content to go into those programs. Well, I'm sorry, actually not the performance management program, because that was completed and already launched. But for the training, there are many modules and many sub-modules, and there's an enormous amount of content that would have to be created into all of those, which really requires a specialized firm that has the bandwidth. And in terms of your earlier question for citywide training, something like this, I am not aware of this kind of citywide training ever being performed previously.
Yes, Council President, I tried to search. I was able to find just the funding source number, but I can't find anything attached to the actual dollar amount for the legislation. So I would definitely want our staff to look at that. But then second point, I would definitely ask, with this type of services, I believe, when was this introduced? I can't get a date on when this was introduced.
Through the chair of the council, and I think it was introduced the first week back in session.
On the 5th? Okay. And then also I would say, as the chair of Workforce Education Training and Youth Development Committee, Council President, I would definitely ask if this can be sent back to Workforce Committee, simply because this deals with training as well as different type of management. I think our committee should be able to vet this to be able to make sure we get every question asked of this.
So on this one, I want to make sure that we do have an opportunity to send it back to our training. I will tell you that most expenditures for human resources, especially when it comes to contractual, usually comes through finance. That's the reason why it was fast-tracked to finance. But I do want to better understand this contract. I did find the amount for the former contract was $100,000.
Okay.
100,000. So here's what I'm going to do, Director. I'm going to give Harsh an opportunity to ask a question, and then what I would like for you to do is have a conversation with Councilman Starr about how we proceed on this moving forward. Because I think the biggest issue is that council really wants to better understand what are we spending taxpayer dollars on.
Sure.
It's one thing to say we're going to train all 700 managers in the city, but I think they want to understand a little bit more about this expenditure because this is almost $1 million of taxpayer dollars, and we want to make sure we have a better understanding, okay?
Totally
So
understand.
I'm gonna ask you to have a conversation with Councilman Starr. If I know he has a committee coming up, so you might want to have a conversation with him like today to be able to have that discussion. Okay. All right. Councilman Christopher Harsh.
And
You got one more, Councilman?
no, just for a point of clarification, just for the director to know, as well as just for this committee, one of the things that I want to make sure we work on with the Committee of Workforce Education Training and Youth Development to make sure we do the right research, investigate, and develop public policy and advocate for equity, empowerment, and jobs for the city and its residents. So I believe the work that they do in HR, civil service, and those different things should come through Workforce Committee, and then they'd be able to go through any other additional committee so we can make sure we have enough eyes on it. So therefore, when they get to finance, I know Council President can do his due diligence as well. And that's all I have, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman Christopher Harsh.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Councilman Starr did beat me to the punch. It was 110-2024. I remember scratching my head when it came up 2 years ago. But I just want to clarify, Mr. President, it does say provide assessment and design of a citywide management training strategy and implementation program.
So
And a
it does say-
citywide.
It does say implementation.
It does say implementation program. My hunch, Mr. President, is that $100,000 does not go far in the world of consultants. They spent the $100,000 and said, we need way more money for this, and here we are 2 years later for $900,000. I'm curious to see if Consult HR Partners LLC would be the ones bidding on this. They were the ones who were awarded the $100,000 2 years ago. So I support and encourage the idea of this going to Chairman Starr's committee.
We're going to kick
so we
it
can
back
look at
to workforce education and training. What I would ask the director to do is help delineate that, because usually what we would do is just expand the contract that of the company we already have, or instead of going out, especially since it says implementation. I read it the same way. So I need us to get a better understanding of this, and I am going to be more dogged on trying to push things through committee, because by the time they get to finance, we shouldn't have a lot of uncertainty. We should just be talking about the dollars and cents of it, okay? All right.
Sure, and through the chair, if I can answer to the councilman, that was absolutely not the intent. I understand the word implementation, but I believe that was not intended to mean in the same way that you're thinking it was intended to. So,
Well, that's what threw a lot of us off.
Sure.
When we read the legislation,
I understand.
the first thing, I have a pretty decent memory, and I was like, we just passed something like this. And
It was
that's
two
when
steps.
that.
Yeah, it was just two
so
steps.
I get what you're saying, but need to make sure we suss that out a little bit. So we're going to make sure we assign that to Councilman, and I know he has a committee coming up, so you might want to have that conversation with him, okay? So, Inez, we're going to kick this back to workforce, and we'll go from there, okay?
Gotcha.
All right, seeing no other questions, we're going to hold this and kick this to workforce education and training, 29-2026. And there is no more legislation. Therefore, this Committee of Finance, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion is adjourned.